Welcome to the NCDWI Guy podcast, where defenders of the Constitution assemble to prepare for courtroom battle and firm owners gather to develop marketing strategies that will revolutionize the practice of criminal defense. Here's your host, the NCDWI Guy, Jake Minnick.
Hello, fellow freedom fighters, and welcome to episode 218 of the NCDWI Guy podcast. On today's episode, we are talking about networking events, and why most don't work. So we're going to run through 5 reasons why most networking events fail. This is an interesting take on networking events. You know, on the DWI Guy podcast, we often reflect on how to build your business, how to build your brand, how to build your reputation in the community, how to generate referral business. And so to see me here dissing on networking events is maybe a little bit of a strange slant, but I want to be very clear. I'm not dissing all networking events. It's just that most networking events are not designed properly. And so I'm going to give you some of the tools to evaluate a good networking opportunity and how you should approach every networking event that you attend. So let's dive in. Now, the reason why I am in this mindset is that a couple of weeks ago, I gave the DWI update at the NCAJ convention in Wilmington. Several hundred lawyers there, beautiful Wilmington, always good connecting with other lawyers in person. There really is nothing like being in person. And that is why if you're going to a great networking event, it is truly amazing because you get to be in the same space, in a shared conversation in real time, in the flesh with other lawyers, with other like-minded individuals. So just an absolute blast. I took my whole family down to Wilmington. We took the kids to see the USS North Carolina battleship on Thursday, had an absolute blast exploring the battleship. We all went out to dinner as a family on Thursday night on the river in downtown Wilmington. Just gorgeous, gorgeous couple of days of weather. My son Beckett and I woke up early on Friday morning. And just happenstance, the Airbnb that we were staying at, we had to get an Airbnb because we're just too many people for a hotel room, but it was right down the road from the convention center where the NCAJ convention was happening, the Wilmington Convention Center, right down the road from that. But we literally picked the turnaround spot for the 5K race that was run on Friday morning through the NCAJ. So just I was walking down there. Actually, I had done a run earlier that morning, saw the 5K turnaround sign. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the turnaround spot. So my son, Beckett, he's always up early. We got to go down and cheer on some of the NCAJ 5K runners as they hit the halfway point of the race. Probably he and I were the only spectators along the route. So we just kind of lucked into being able to cheer people on, and hopefully the runners got a kick out of the fact that there was anybody that even knew that there was a race happening, because there's definitely not many other people kind of sitting on the course. I should have had like a thing of water or something down there to pass along to the runners, but I just was kind of figuring this out last second morning of, so we just went down and offered our cheerleading skills. Beckett has got a great spirit. So had a blast doing that. Got to see a number of awesome DWI lawyers and criminal defense lawyers at the DWI update mid-morning on Friday. And then just got to enjoy the company of other attorneys for the rest of the morning. Went and had lunch with several of our firm members for lunch on Friday, and then got a great opportunity to go out on a date with my wife on Friday night to the soiree that they had. A beautiful restaurant, again, overlooking the sound, just gorgeous. I mean, it was just beautiful, beautiful space to have a convention. Wilmington is awesome. And so it was just great seeing people in person. Styling in the city of Wilmington, had a blast, and loved getting to see the attorneys that attended the convention, the DWI, a good group, good crowd of lawyers. So that's kind of what sparked this in my head was, what makes a networking event really a valuable networking event. And it became easier as I was thinking through this to kind of identify what makes a networking event bad. So I've got some general thoughts. I've got 5 thoughts on why most networking events don't work. So, number 1, lack of common ground. Lack of common ground. So, this can kind of be in multiple areas. It could be, lack of common ground among the attendees, lack of common ground in terms of the content that's being offered at a networking event, conference, business club, whatever it might be, lack of geography. So in terms of the attendees, are all of the attendees kind of operating in the same space? You see so many networking events, where there are people from different businesses in the community, a local kind of charitable organization. You have maybe a local young professionals group that gets together. And while it's nice to kind of meet other people, that are kind of either your same age or, also interested in advancing their business, there's no shared connection, right? That you just don't have anybody else in the room that you're like, I really just can't do business with this person. I'm a lawyer. This person is a loan officer for a very niche, kind of lending professional group. This is not going to kind of be, a good fit. Maybe they have a family member, a friend that gets, in trouble. Maybe I have somebody that's looking for, financing. I mean, there could be some shared connection, but it's just, kind of a lack of common ground. And at legal conferences, I think that this is true when you see all practice areas represented. You have people that are into business law, estate planning, personal injury, family law, immigration, criminal defense, traffic, like all of these different practice areas. And so as you're trying to kind of, network with people and see where you could kind of potentially generate a relationship, it's like, we really don't have much that we can kind of work off together. Again, obviously, you might have a personal injury lawyer on the other side of the state that might every once in a blue moon be able to send you a traffic case, or maybe you can send them somebody that gets hurt, down in their geographic territory. But, in terms of the attendees, when there's all those different practice areas represented, you're just in different spaces, just in a different space. Your problems that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis are different. Your kind of business model is different. So there's just not a shared kind of common ground of what are we doing. Another thing that I see at a lot of events, especially law events, is you have vendors that come down and are basically, they're trying to be part of the networking. So salespeople, basically, have somebody that's selling legal marketing services. You have somebody that is selling legal lending. opportunities. You have somebody that is, in the chiropractic space or whatnot and knows that there's personal injury lawyers at this particular event. So all of these different vendors come down and they see this as an opportunity to get your business. But again, first of all, sometimes it doesn't hit home the right way to just be kind of sold to at these events. But secondly, if they're not in your same, kind of space, it's just kind of like a somewhat of a wasted connection. So, at various legal conferences I've attended in the past, I've had people that come up that, say, hey, I do legal financing options for, your civil litigation cases. And I'm like, well, I don't do any civil litigation. Or they say, hey, we help, family law attorneys build their brand in these particular markets. And it's like, well, I don't do that. We help personal injury lawyers increase the value of their claim by doing XYZ. Well, I don't do personal injury. And so it's just a lack of common ground because there is too broad of a brush that is getting painted. It's not niche enough, in terms of content that's getting directed. You might have, a conference that you go to where there's multiple practice areas being presented, or with so many of these events, when it comes to CLE events, which I think CLEs that are done live can be great networking opportunities, again, if done properly. But at some CLEs, it's like, okay, well, we're going to hit on all of these different areas of law. We're going to have, this, meeting for this group of lawyers here. We're going to have, this networking opportunity that's part of the grander picture of the conference over in this space for this group. And it's just somewhat all over the map. And even when it comes to CLE, I definitely think choosing CLE can be tough sometimes because it might be, a CLE about criminal defense, right? Even that being kind of like thought of as specific, but it's really not specific because within that they're talking about DWI, white collar crimes, search warrants, traffic tickets, all of these different places, assault charges, all of these different places. And if you're handling all of those things as like a general practitioner of criminal defense, maybe that all applies. But I think there are a lot of criminal defense lawyers that really have gotten kind of niche within their practice, focus on traffic tickets and other misdemeanor crimes, focus on DWI, focus on white collar crimes, focus on felonies only, focus on federal cases versus state cases. There's so many different niche places within the CLE space that, again, if you're covering too broad a range of issues, then it's going to be hard to find that kind of common ground with the other attendees. So I think that one of the biggest areas is lack of common ground. You might even see lack of common ground in terms of the true ground, in terms of the location of places that attendees are coming from. You have these national conferences where lawyers from all over the country are coming in, and it's hard to network. It's hard to connect with somebody that is practicing law in California or in Oregon, because it's like, how many shared cases over the course of years are we going to be able to refer to each other? You may even really hit it off with this other lawyer, but it's like, how many clients are going to call you about a DWI that they got in North Carolina and vice versa, right? So you may really hit it off. You have a great conversation, but it's like, there's really not much we can do together. So lack of common ground. And I think that this is from not zeroing in and focusing on a very specific event for a very specific attendee. There is just this broad brush of, hey, if if you're a young professional, no matter what your profession is, we're the place for you. If you are an attorney that handles cases for the little guy, no matter which of these 10 practice areas that you handle, we're the event for you. it's just not going to be as helpful as finding that niche event. So, lack of common ground. Number two reason why most networking events suck is surface level connections are where it ends. Just surface level connections. That's all you're doing is creating surface level connections. What are you supposed to bring to a networking event? What are you always supposed to bring? What are you supposed to have in your pocket to give out? Your business card, right? Now, some people have some really cool business cards. They may have a poker chip. I've seen a poker chip as a business card. That was sweet. I have been given a metal business card, which was awesome. I saw last week as I was driving down the road in Swannanoa, a place that offers custom wood business cards. Business card made out of wood. Now, that's pretty awesome. Like, I mean, that's one that somebody might hold on to. But ultimately, you're supposed to bring your business card, whether it is very unique and cool or whether it's just, the Vistaprint white card that we use here at the office. Like, you're supposed to bring your business card, pass it out to other people, because if somebody has your business card, then they're going to send you business, right? Wrong. Doesn't build anything. You give somebody your business card, what have you given them? At the very best, if it doesn't go in the garbage can by the end of the day, at the very best, maybe you get put into that person's contact system. In the old days, you go into their Rolodex. Now you go into their eye contacts or their, whatever CRM software that they might use. You go into their contacts, you go into their phone, maybe even their phone, especially if you have a cell phone number, maybe you're in their phone. But is that person going to call you simply because you are in their contacts? No, they're not going to do that. Being in their contacts is just like one small step above like being in a general Google directory. Why is somebody going to call you? Because you have a relationship with them. It's not based on you being in their contacts on their phone. It's based on, I trust this person, so I'm going to call them for advice. I'm going to call them to give them a recommendation, to give a client an attorney recommendation. I'm going to call them to see if we could work on a case together. The reason that somebody calls you isn't because you're in their phone. It's because they trust you. And that's the problem with most networking events is there's this idea that, hey, if I give my business card out to 50 people, 50 people are now going to call me. It's not about that. It's about creating meaningful relationships with a handful of people. Meaningful relationships is where it's at. Repetition. So this is a thought that I had about this. Repetition builds relationship. I had a professor in college that would start every lecture almost with a review of the previous week or week's lectures, previous week's class notes. And he told us the reason for this. He said, repetition builds things into your memory. He said, most people don't remember anything that they learned in college, anything that they learned in high school, anything that they learned in middle school. And the main reason for that is lack of repetition. Just hasn't hit home enough times. It hasn't stuck because it hasn't hit home enough times. If you think that you are going to be in somebody's memory because you have had one conversation with them for 15 minutes and they have your business card, you're sorely mistaken. The only reason that you're going to be memorable is because you communicate with that person regularly. Repetition builds relationship. You can't build relationship in one meeting at one networking event. So most events are that. They're one time. It's a one-time gig. Hey, come to this summit, come to this conference, come to this convention, come to this event. And you'll build all of these connections. No. If it is event focused and it's basically one and done, you come, maybe you build relationships, maybe you don't, that's going to be a real problem. You have to go into an event with the mindset that I am going to have this be the launch point, this springboard for building a relationship with these specific individuals that I met at this conference. This is not a one and done. This is the beginning of the relationship. So, reason number two that most networking events suck is because they create surface level connections, not relationship. Reason number three is they're just too big. Now, maybe this kind of goes back to the lack of common ground, but I do think that there are smaller events for, not that many people, such as local young professionals, networking groups, local, like Kiwanis clubs or whatever it might be, they're just small, but they're still too general. They're too broad in terms of who they're attracting. But this is a very specific problem, too big. Now, I have gone to a number of summits that have been hosted by Crisp Marketing Group down in Atlanta, Georgia. They've been awesome. Content has been amazing. Just truly life-changing. I've taken a lot away from these events. But the last one that I attended was at the stadium in Atlanta, the Falcons Stadium in Atlanta. Mercedes-Benz, enormous. I think they had something like 5,000 attendees. And it's just from a networking, from a content perspective, it was great. There's a lot of great speakers, and I took a lot away from it. But from a networking perspective, it's just almost impossible to kind of meet the right people at an event that size. Every practice area represented vendors that were both, kind of from inside the legal industry and outside the legal industry, people from all over the country. Like, it was impossible to find your group, so to speak, your people in that space. Now, I participated in Crisp's coaching program, the coaching program I did back in 2020 for about a year. And the attorneys that were in that group, it was about 50 lawyers. And we had several meetings that were, in very small spaces, not in this incredibly, humongous, beautiful arena, but in, conference room, a hotel meeting room. We did a number of Zoom coaching platform opportunities. People that were teaching at those were a lot of times members of the CRISP team. And that was so much more valuable because it was very small. It was very focused on building a better law firm with a very specific and small number of other law firm owners that you met with on a routine basis. You got to know them. You got to really soak in the content. You got to hear how the content applied to other members' individual specific firm space. Then you could kind of go and reach out to those lawyers at a very individual level. So, while it's cool to attend an event that has 5,000 people in this giant stadium, and, it's just like, man, I can't even believe that I'm even a part of this. The small niche ongoing groups are much more powerful in terms of building a community. So just too big. Again, an event is a one-time thing. So if you're going to a networking event, a lot of people are approaching that with the idea that, hey, I'm going to go meet some people, and then maybe I'll show back up. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll come, once a year to this thing and see who's around, see who I can pass my business card to. But networking events are, for most people in the brain, a one-time thing. What you want to do is have an event that is launching a community, that is creating an ongoing conversation, not something that is this one time, hey, here's all this information, boom, See ya. Hey, come meet these people. Don't ever talk to them again. You want to go to events, networking opportunities that are ongoing, where you're getting to, again, develop relationships with the other attendees. Reason number 4 that most networking events don't work: the gatekeeper is not there. The decision maker isn't there. Many of us go to networking events thinking, man, I'm going to get referral business from this event. So you sit down and you start talking to another attendee, and you really hit it off. You get this great conversation rolling, and you're like, man, this person is going to send all of their business. And they even say to you, you know what? If I get a call about a DWI case, I'm going to send it your way. And you're like, yes, I've just hit the jackpot. The issue is that, unbeknownst to you, possibly, that other person isn't the gatekeeper. They are not the one sending cases out at the firm. They're, even if they're the owner, but they're another attorney at the firm. They don't really have that kind of decision-making power. Maybe they are the owner of the firm, but guess what? They're not the ones picking up the phone. For most lawyers, and this is not to diss the solo practitioner. Love my solo practitioners out there answering the phones. Did it for a long time myself. Total respect for anybody that is answering their own phones. But many criminal defense lawyers, many small law firm business owners have one other person that's on the team that is answering the phone calls, and that person is the gatekeeper. Even if they have a list of people that they might want to send cases to, ultimately, that person is the gatekeeper. When I used to, I taught several CLEs and just kind of some general classes on how to build a law firm designed to last. And one of the things that I'd ask in that class would be, who is the most important person at your firm? There was not many people that were brave enough to say, me, I'm the most important person at my firm, although I think a lot of us think that. But the correct answer, and most of the time somebody in the audience would get this question right. They would say, it's the person that answers the phones. Correct you are, sir. Correct you are, ma'am. Because the person that answers the phones in your office is the front-facing person to the client. This is the first impression that the client gets. And so if you don't have a good person answering your phones, your business is going to die. That person is the gatekeeper of calls coming in. But that person is also the gatekeeper of referrals a lot of the time. You also, in a little bit larger, still small firm, but a little bit larger small firm, you may have an office manager who may or may not be an attorney. At our office, this may come as a shock to anybody listening, but it's not a shock at all. Within the office, I am not the boss. We have an office manager, Stephanie, who is she's running the show. She's running the day-to-day show. And I think that there are a lot of firms that have that person that is running the day-to-day show. Even for somebody that just has one administrative assistant, that person a lot of times is organizing your calendar, is basically putting client consults on your calendar. They are the ones, in a lot of ways, running the practice. So you can see this in the courtroom with a judge and a clerk, right? You don't just be nice to the judge and not be nice to the clerk, because the clerk is the one that ultimately a lot of times is actually entering what you wanted to do on the judgment. So one of the biggest pieces of advice that everybody on the podcast has shared that has kind of gone down this route in terms of how do you build yourself up as a young lawyer is be nice to the clerks. It's repeated. It is a constant refrain. Be nice to the clerks. Why? Because they are the gatekeepers. They are the gatekeepers to getting things entered, to getting shit done at the courthouse. If you want something done at the courthouse, almost invariably, from a criminal defense standpoint, it is going to involve a clerk doing something. So, what is the issue with most networking events? It doesn't get these gatekeepers, these decision makers in the same room as the attendees. So you can spend all this time generating relationships, all of this time creating connections. But if you don't get into the room with the decision makers and the gatekeepers of other people's law offices, then you're wasting your time. If I'm trying to build a referral relationship with another law firm, that is not going to happen without me going to that other law office and taking some sort of, food treat, dessert, special drinks, whatever it might be, some sort of good tidings to the office staff, because that's the group of gatekeepers right there. So you want to go to events where gatekeepers are represented, whether that's the owner of the firm who is the gatekeeper and decision maker, whether that is the office manager that is the gatekeeper decision maker, whether that is the receptionist person answering the phones that's the gatekeeper. You want to get into a event where the gatekeepers are present. All the decision makers within the law firm are present. If you're trying to build a business relationship, you want to make sure that everybody within that firm that you're trying to create a relationship with is engaged and basically have their attention all at the same time. So, reason number 4 that most networking events don't work is the gatekeeper doesn't show up. Reason number 5 is that you just go in with the wrong mindset. And all of the attendees go in with the wrong mindset. So here is reason number 5 that most events, networking events don't work. Attendees have a ask, not give mentality. Ask, not give mentality. Most people go to networking events so that other people that are there will send them business. You go in with the selfish model. I'm going to show up to this networking event because if I come, other people are going to take my card home. They are going to, the next time anything that comes up that I can help with comes up on their plate, they're going to look at that card and be like, man, I have just been waiting to call James Minnick and let him know that I've got a potential client for him. That's how we envision networking events going. I show up, other people send me business. That is the wrong mindset to attend a networking event. Most of us are asking when we go to a networking event, how am I going to benefit from this? What we should be asking is, how can I provide value to others? How can I provide value to others at the event? What way can I improve other people's lives? You provide value to the people that you care about. You're going to give free information, be open with whatever it is that has been helpful in your practice to the people that you care about. Networking events concentrate on doing business together versus helping one another. So you want to find networking events that are more in the mastermind model. Not, hey, how can we create like a surface level connection where we send each other business, but how can we basically grow together as human beings? And if we end up sending business to each other, awesome. But the primary goal is for us to both get better at what we do, to have this be a joint training exercise, to have this be something where we are working together for a better outcome. So, reason number 5 that most networking events suck is because the attendees come with a ask, not give mentality. So there's the 5 reasons. Now, I'm not going to end the podcast there because I hate when there is negative news and no solution. You read these news articles where it's like our modern times are awful, things are falling off the rails, the world is falling apart, and then they end with that's it. Wish things were better. Get ready for a bumpy ride. They offer no solution. I hate any political piece. I hate any news piece that doesn't end with a solution. So I've got a solution for you. There is an event designed for you. If you're listening to this right now, you're in the criminal defense community, you're in North Carolina, I've got a networking event that is specifically designed, specifically tailored to you, and is going to turn all of these 5 points on its head. Freedom Fighter Summit is coming up September the 26th and 27th, Thursday, Friday in Asheville in the height of leaf season. Beautiful Asheville, North Carolina, hometown. Come and check out the Freedom Fighters Summit. Okay, common ground. Again, this is one of the reasons that most networking events suck. At the Freedom Fighter Summit, you've got common ground. You've got common ground in terms of the content, location, and attendees. So in terms of the content, this is a marketing-focused summit, a business-focused summit, a self-improvement-focused summit. If you are interested in becoming a better human being, a better leader, a better business person, a better community member, then you're going to enjoy the content of the summit. If you're not interested in improving, this summit is not for you. Please do not come. Do not sign up. This event is not for you. People that are coming to the summit are interested in providing more value to their community, providing more value to their clients, providing more value to their team, to their employees, and becoming better human beings, better family members. If you're looking for human growth, if you're looking to improve your potential, this is designed for you. We're going to talk about marketing, branding, leadership. We're going to talk about the client experience. We're going to talk about firm culture. We're going to talk about how to give back to your community. We've got all different aspects of those topics in the 2-day summit, just power packed into the summit. So the content is about growing as a firm. There will be this is designed for criminal defense lawyers. So again, common ground, this is designed for criminal defense lawyers. Now, is there any criminal defense specific content? No, there's nobody that's going to come in to this year's summit, give a presentation on white collar crimes, how to practice DWI cases. But you have that shared experience, that shared frustration that you're trying to overcome in terms of being a criminal defense small business owner with the other attendees that come to the Freedom Fighter Summit in September. Location. Everybody at the summit is likely, most attendees are from North Carolina. We're going to have a few of our sister states, like surrounding states represented: Virginia, South Carolina, Tennessee. Likely we'll have a couple of lawyers from those states. But that's it. Everybody is going to be close to home, again, facing similar challenges because of the locational area that is covered by the attendees. And then in terms of the attendees themselves, again, criminal defense lawyers that are in the private sector that are looking to improve their firms. So criminal defense professionals, we've got owners coming, we've got associate attorneys coming, we've got members of the team coming, and we're going to talk about this here in just a second when we get to the gatekeeper section. But Common ground. This is niche. This is a niche event for a very specific group of people. Reason number 2 that most networking events suck and the Freedom Fighter Summit does not is community. This is not an event. This is the beginning of a conversation. That's how we framed it at last year's summit, and that is what we are trying to build out of this year's summit, continue the positive growth. Since last year's summit, we have had a goals workshop that we did at the end of last year. We've now had 4 business book club meetings. We've got the next 2 on the schedule. We just did an intake mastery free online workshop by Allison Williams with the Freedom Fighters community. We did an open invitation to our mock trial day that we had back in March as a joint training exercise with the Freedom Fighter attendees. This is not an event. The summit itself is an event. The Freedom Fighters networking opportunity is a community. We're building a community. Place online to exchange ideas in the form of chat. We're going to build this out for team members. At this point, it's really just been amongst law firm owners. We're going to build this out to team members following this year's summit. This is the opportunity to become a part of a mastermind group, to become a part of a community. Reason number 3, that most of these events, again, networking events suck, is because they're too big. The Freedom Fighters event, the Freedom Fighters Summit, the Freedom Fighters community is focused. It's small. I have had several attorneys ask me, hey, Jake, why don't you open this up to family law attorneys? Why don't you open this up, and kind of push this to people that are in other practice areas? Because then it would not be focused. Now, there are plenty of attendees that are coming that practice in multiple areas, criminal defense, and then they also do at their firm PI, family law. So it doesn't mean you have to exclusively do criminal defense. We do have a couple of attendees from last year's event that didn't do criminal law, had a firm that did immigration law. We had an attorney that came from out of state that basically solely practiced business planning, estate planning, business law and estate planning. So you can still get value out of it, even if you're not in that specific criminal defense practice area. But we're going to push the event to criminal defense lawyers because we want to be focused. We want to have this specific focus within our group. And that's going to be the game plan. We're staying small. The location that we were at last year held 120 attendees. We had about 65 at last year's event. This year, it's in the same space, 120 attendees max. That's how many we're expecting at this year's event. Next year's event, I already signed the contract for it, October 1st through 3rd, 2025. It's going to be at the same space, max capacity 120. Why? Why not just keep growing and kind of keep opening this up to more people? You get more attendees. The thought process might be, hey, we get more money. That's not the goal of this. This is not a money-making gig on my end. This is a community building gig. This is a long game. How can we improve each other? I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it for the relationships because we have gained so much value as a firm because of the other attendees at last year's event that it has more than paid for itself. We took a $50,000 loss in terms of amount of tickets sold versus the cost of putting the event on last year, and yet we came out in the green. How did we do that? How did we take a $50,000 loss on the event and still be better off economically than we were before? Because we shared freely and got freely ideas from the other summit members and have continued to do that since through the community that has been built out of last year's event. So this is not a one-time thing. This is a focused, driven kind of like launching pad into a long-term relationship with the other attendees. Reason number 4 that most networking events suck and the Freedom Fighter Summit does not is the teams aren't there. So the gatekeepers are not there. Whether it's the person's managing partner that didn't show up, whether it is the general manager of the office, so the office manager, whether it's the receptionist, you're missing important people on the team. Well, the beautiful thing about the Freedom Fighter Summit is that it is team centric and people are bringing their teams. We had about half of last year's attendees were non-attorneys. That is expected to hold true and probably increase in this year's attendees. People are bringing their office managers, people are bringing their receptionists, people in their billing, anybody else in the office coming along so that we can learn together. And the content is going to help everybody that has team members work better with those other people in their firms. We had solo attorneys that came last year. We have solo attorneys that are coming this year. If you're coming and you're a solo attorney, you're going to get a lot of value out of this. You're going to meet people that are thinking about hiring. You're going to meet people that are figuring out how systems work within their office. So you're going to absolutely get value out of this as a law firm owner, regardless of whether you have a team of 50 people or a team of 1, and that is yourself. So as the law firm owner, you're going to get value, but this is a place where teams really can get value in a major way. Please, if you are coming to this year's summit, bring your team members because this is one of our best ways of learning. Most of the great ideas at our office have generated from somebody else on the team. So why not share that? Why not freely share that information with other attendees? So you have the decision maker, you have the gatekeeper there. And reason number 5 that most networking events suck is the ask versus give mentality. That is not true at the Freedom Fighter Summit. There is free sharing, free exchange of information that occurred at last year's Freedom Fighter Summit and has improved as we have built relationships with one another during these kind of ongoing meetings and in our online chat. I think a lot of people think, man, if I go to a business conference or a law firm conference or I meet with my competitors, I'm going to have to really hold back my trade secrets. I'm going to really have to store up my secrets in my lockbox and see what I can get from other people without freely exchanging my secrets. We all want to believe that there is, this secret sauce that we're holding on to and that everybody else is holding on to. And it's such limited thought. It's such bogus thought. The way that we improve is by freely exchanging with each other the best ideas, the things that make a huge improvement in our firm, the biggest mistakes that we've made, freely sharing those biggest mistakes with other lawyers so they don't have to make the same mistakes, so that we don't have to make the same mistakes as they have made. Huge. So this mastermind group where there is a openness of freely exchanging ideas amongst law firm owners, amongst admin members, amongst the entire team back and forth, that has been the real value. In our recent intake mastery program, I think we had more than half of the attendees were admin team members. Again, this is about improving collectively. If you are wanting to get better in your business, in your craft, if you are wanting to improve your law practice, you're in criminal defense, you're in North Carolina, this is the networking event not to miss. So I have a offer to put out there for anybody that wants to come, and specifically to those that are bringing anybody else at their firm. If you go and sign up for the Freedom Fighters Summit, you go to freedomfighters.law, and sign up, register for the summit for this year. If you buy at least one team ticket, if you buy at least one regularly priced ticket on the Freedom Fighters website. So again, go to freedomfighters.law, go to the 2024 summit page and click register now. If you buy a full priced Freedom Fighter Summit 2024 ticket, full price, you can get up to 3 team tickets at no cost. So bring up to 3 members of your team at no cost. How do you do that? You go online, you register for a Freedom Fighter Summit ticket, you click up to 3 team tickets, and at checkout, use promo code TEAM, TEAM, promo code TEAM, and you can bring up to 3 members of your firm at no additional cost when you buy your first ticket at full price. That's up to a $1,500 value. Now, why are we doing this again? Because we want the team there. We want the team members there. We want people to come and show up with their team so that they can be fully ready to engage, fully ready to share, fully ready to learn, fully ready to engage as a group. Go in, sign up for the Freedom Fighter Summit today. This is a true call to action. And the reason that I'm calling you, if you are a growth-minded person, I want you at the summit selfishly, because this is where I get the value. This is where all of the current attendees that are signed up, I think we have 55 attendees as of today, signed up for the summit here 3 months down the road. So we're almost at half capacity for the summit. Got 55 members signed up. For all of us that are already signed up for the summit, if you are a growth-minded lawyer out there, the number one reason why I want you to be there is selfish, because we are going to learn together and we are going to learn from you. Now, are you going to get a ton of value out of coming? Yes, absolutely. We've got a great lineup of speakers. We've got a great group of lawyers and law firm staff that are going to be present to learn together at the summit. But we are going to learn from you, and I don't want to miss that opportunity. If you have any questions, please feel free to call me. Please feel free to reach out to my email. I would love to talk to you about the summit and what we have planned for September. You want the details, you want the answers to questions about what the plan of action is, about what we're doing with the Freedom Fighters community. Love discussing everything Freedom Fighters related. So reach out to me. So if you want to attend a networking event that is not a waste of time, that does in fact work, come to the Freedom Fighters Summit in Asheville, September 26th and 27th. Don't wait. Go sign up now. Check us out, freedomfighters.law.